חושך ששורר לא יצליח להסתיר אורך, כל הרוע ששולט לא יטביע את הטוב שלך. תקבל נחלתך, הדור הזה לא ייגנב ממך. מושרשים באהבה ולא מרפים מדברך. בישראל יקום דור קדוש להביא עוד לבבות לאלוהים, להתמסר לעבודה עד שתבוא. בשבילך חיינו וגופנו לשרתך, לכבודך קולנו לבשר שמלכותך קרבה. לעמוד, להילחם, לפתוח באהבתך ולפתוח שעריך. ברוך הבא. בשבילך חיינו וגופנו לשרתך, לכבודך קולנו לבשר שמלכותך קרבה. לעמוד, להילחם, לפתוח באהבתך ולפתוח שעריך. ברוך הבא. בישראל יקום דור קדוש להביא עוד לבבות לאלוהים, להתמסר לעבודה עד שתבוא. עד שתבוא, עד שנראה אותך, עד שנדע אותך, עד שנהיה איתך לא נשתוק, עד שנראה אותך חוזר בעננים, מלך הכבוד, יביטו אליו את אשר דקר. ישוע בא לישראל, ישוע בא.
הוא בא מהר, לא מאחר, לירושלים, לישראל. הוא בא מהר, לא מאחר, בוא נתעורר, בוא נתכונן.
עוד לבבות אלוהים נתמסר לעבודה עד שתבוא. כל החושך ששורר לא יצליח להסתיר אורך, כל הרוע ששולט לא יטביע את הטוב שלך. תקבל נחלתך, הדור הזה לא ייגנב ממך. מושרשים באהבה ולא מרפים מדברך. בישראל יקום דור קדוש להביא עוד לבבות לאלוהים להתמסר לעבודה עד שתבוא. בשבילך חיינו וגופנו לשרתך, לכבודך קולנו, לבשר שמלכותך קרבה.
Shalom, shalom. Welcome to this live stream. That the Ruach sometimes is knocking and pushing. And we need to be obedient to his, word. Here we are. And I have been telling you this in the past. More than recording a video, it's much easier, technically speaking, to do it on live stream. And I think it's more beautiful because we can speak directly what the Ruach is putting in our hearts. So thank you so much for joining us with almost no notice. And we really hope that this is going to be a blessing to all of us. I don't know what the Ruach wants to talk. But we will see.
I'm just sitting here next to you.
No, you are not just sitting next to me. You have something to share too. So let me take a look in the in the chat to see who is with us. I see JJ was the first one here. Karen, Shannon, Tyler, Watai, Marcia, welcome.
Yeah.
See who else is here. Ro is with us. Camila, Corina, and Corina got a heads up from Karen. Thank you, Karen, for letting Corina know. Who else is here? We see Steven is with us too.
Did you see Camila? Yeah.
Yes, I said Camila too.
Okay, Denise.
Denise is here. Good.
Yeah.
And yep, thank you, Karen. We love this live stream too, and thank you for notifying those that they get the notification. So here we are, we just finished the day, and as we have been sharing with you, and in case you are following the same calendar we are following, today was a special day. It wasn't a Shabbat. It's not instructed as a Shabbat. But it's a very important day. It's what everybody or many people are calling this day the day of the first fruits. But the reality is that as we put in the title, is the day of the beginning of the harvest. And with everything that's going on in the world today, and I think the expectation all of us we have in our heart for the harvest of YaHuWaH to begin is increasing by the day. I think all of us, we are feeling this need, this strong need in our hearts, as I just saw the comment from Rob here, for YaHuWaH to come, our King to come and to take care and to take over in this world. There's so many things that are going nuts, so evil, so much evil increasing in the world, that the only solution for this world is one man, and that man is YaHuWaH HaMashiach. And it's more than a man.
Yeah, with a righteous kingdom.
Exactly. And this day, as I said, even though it's not a Shabbat, it's not considered as part of the high Moedim, because we know that there are three important Moedims according to what is written in Torah. And those three special Moedim where all men are commanded to go to Jerusalem are the Feast of Matzot, is the Feast of Shavuot, as is the Feast of the Ingathering.
But this could be the kickoff of Shavuot.
And actually it is the kickoff of Shavuot. It is the kickoff of something so important that is leading us to Shavuot.
Yeah.
And that's why, in the tradition of the Yahudim, the Jews, they began this count of Omer in order to count the 50 days according to the instructions we have in Torah. And those 50 days are the ones that are leading us to the day of Shavuot. That is, in reality, that is the real day of the first fruits. So, we have nothing prepared. I just pulled some of the slides that I did many years ago, and we were taking a look in the
When you were
morning
younger.
when I was younger, forever young, and where they put two videos speaking in details about Reshith Katzir. And most probably we're going to use part of those slides just to guide the conversation. As I said already, we have nothing prepared. We are going to just let the Ruach speak to us. Lillian was so nervous because, I was walking out of this small studio we have over here. And she was so nervous that, the time is passing. It's only 1 minute left. You need to come back, and I'm going to do this alone. I was having something here in my heart that, we need to do this. And especially for our brothers and sisters in the States, I know that there's so much anxiety going on because of the big day of the solar
That's in the
eclipse tomorrow. And there are so much people going on through anxiety. Some people, not necessarily you that are with us here, having fears about what's going to happen. And I think we need to put our feet in solid ground, and we need to just wait on YaHuWaH to show us and to prepare us to know what's going to happen and what's coming. We should not be fearful. We know what things are going to happen in this world, and all of this needs to happen before the arrival, the second arrival, the second coming of Mashiach. Because, after the storm comes peace, the calm and the peace. So I think, in this type of situations, when the world is going crazy, when we see people so fearful about the signs in the heavens, and it is written even that the people is going to be so fearful when they will begin to see things and signs in the heavens, is the perfect time for us to be the real light in this world. That maybe small light sometimes that is shining is just a dot, could be just a dot in the darkness, but because everything is so dark, so black, that this small dot of shiny light is going to be seen by everybody. And this is exactly what we need to be in these times of trouble. We need to shine that light so people that are in fear can go to that light. And it doesn't mean that it needs to go to us. Most probably they are going to come to us because we are that lamp that is shining the light, but we need to understand that that light is not ours. We are just the vessel that is allowing this light to shine in the darkness. And this is a beautiful service we can do for the kingdom of YaHuWaH, allowing this light to shine. And situations like what the world is living in these days is the perfect opportunity for us to be that type of servant, that type of servant that are serving the king in order to bring that light into those places where the people are in so much need. So, and we need to remember, in a day like this, in Reshith Katzir, is when the harvest will begin. So let me share with you some of the slides that we were putting some years ago, as Lillian said, when I was younger. So let me show it to you. So I think these are the main passages that is important for us to always keep in mind. And basically, when we find about Reshith Katzir, about the first of the harvest, is in the book of Leviticus, YaHuWaH, in the chapter 23, verse 9 to 11. And it says, "And YaHuWaH spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, When you come into the land which I give you, and shall reap its harvest, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first, or the beginning of your harvest," this is the Hebrew word Reshith, "to the priest, and he shall wave the sheaf before YaHuWaH for your acceptance. On the morrow after the Shabbat, the priest waves it." So, this is declaring, and actually if you go to the videos, I'm not going to do it here, but you can, I went through a deep level of details, just going into the Hebrew back then, and understanding that the word here for first fruit, that was usually translated, is basically the Hebrew word Reshith plus Katzir. Katzir is the word harvest. And Reshith is exactly the same word that we have in the first book of the scripture.
The first word.
Is the first word is Bereshith. It's just with the preposition Vav.
Yeah, because that is
Obeyed, actually.
And this
Exactly.
is beginning.
So it's in the beginning. It's the beginning of the harvest. And the beautiful thing is that it's so connected to what is written over here, and I want us to go into some of the passages in the scripture that allow us to see how prophetically important is this date, is this specific day of Reshith Katzir, because connected exactly to the same feast. It is written in the book of Devarim, as you can see in the screen, in the chapter 16, verse 9 and 10, the following: "Count 7 weeks for yourself." And we know that this is the instruction for the counting to Shavuot. count 7 weeks for yourself. Begin to count 7 weeks. So when we need to begin with the counting of the 50 days, that is equal to 7 weeks, because the instruction in the book of Leviticus, it says that we need to count Shavuos or Shabbat, 7 Shabbats. 7 multiplied by 7 is 49, and the next morning in the day 50
It's Shavuot.
is Shavuot. So that's why we need to count 7 weeks. And we count this according to the passage in the book of Devarim, 7 weeks from the time you begin to put the sickle to the grain. And you shall perform the festival of Shavuot to YaHuWaH your Elohim according to the voluntary offering from your hand, which you give as YaHuWaH your Elohim blesses you. So we see here 2 feasts basically connected between each other. Is the season of the harvest. Is the first day of the 50 days counting is the beginning of the harvest of the crops.
Today.
Is today. And 50 days later is basically is continuation of the harvest, in this case wheat. So in the book of Shemot, and let me take this out for a minute. In the book of Shemot, Exodus, it says the following, chapter 23, verse 14 and 16. 3 times in the year you are to celebrate a festival to me. Guard the festival of Matzot and the festival of the harvest, the first fruits of your labors, which you have sown in the field. And that word, the first fruits over there, if you go into the Hebrew, is bikurim.
Bikurim.
It's the same word that was translated as firstborn.
Yeah.
And the festival of the ingathering, at the outgoing of the year, when you have gathered in the fruit of your labors from the field. So we begin.
That's Sukkot.
That's Sukkot, exactly. So we begin the harvest in a day like Reshith Katzir. We present to the priest the first of the harvest.
It's like the sample.
Exactly. He offered this as a wave offering. We continue harvesting the field until the day of Shavuot. We are harvesting the barley first, then the wheat, and in the day of Shavuot we present ourselves for the feast, the third important feast in Jerusalem, to present the first fruits of the wheat. And let's remember that in Shavuot we present the 2 loaves of bread
That are made from the grain.
from the grain
From
of the wheat. Okay, so both feasts are totally connected. And actually here in the book of Exodus, chapter 34, verse 22, it gives us more understanding about what needs to be presented in the feast of Shavuot. It says, and perform the festival of Shavuot for yourself of the first fruits of wheat harvest. So, and the amazing and beautiful story of Ruth, we see this example as well, and we know how significant is the story of Ruth when we talk about the relationship between YaHuWaH and the bride. And it says in the chapter 2 of the book of Ruth that the following in verse 23, and she stayed close by the young women of Boaz to glean till the completion of the barley harvest and wheat harvest, but she dwelled with her mother-in-law. So, as we see there, both Moedim define the seasons of the barley and the wheat harvest. So the importance of this day is that we are talking that is the beginning of the harvest, and prophetically speaking is so important. Do you know why, right? Why the harvest is so important prophetically speaking?
Because it's going to be like when we are going to be gathered.
Absolutely.
And I think that, I don't know if you're going to mention this, but we also compare that gathering also like when YaHuWaH took Israel. So like the first Exodus and the second Exodus. So
and that's why I do believe somehow the Exodus would happen exactly, the second Exodus would happen exactly on the same dates that the first Exodus began. And these seasons of the harvest is going to be so important because it's when YaHuWaH is going to begin to take his people in order to gather us from the four corners of the earth.
And
It's going to be in that season of time.
And if you said, why the 50 days maybe? If you are having the experience of having a field or something like that, not all the fields are going to be mature at the same time. Some are going to be first, and then maybe the neighbor is going to be the next one, because usually it's going to depend on the quantity of sun that they are receiving. Even in your own field, if the wheat is receiving some shadow, that part is going to be green. Yeah,
Yep.
remember?
I remember.
So it's a time that all the land is going to receive the same amount of sun, and then every field has its own time. So
why is so important harvest? And let's go to the scripture. I think we can just pick some of the passages here. Let me see if I can just modify something here. Just give me a second. And I'm going to put the eastward over here. Okay. Yes, be patient with me. And there we have.
yeah.
So if we just take a look in some of the passages about the harvest, the first one we find over here is YaHuWaH speaking to the 12 ones, to the disciples in Matthew chapter 9, verse 37, saying, then he said to his 12 ones. Actually, let's read from 35 onward. And YaHuWaH went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their congregations and proclaiming the good news of the reign, and healing every disease and every bodily weakness among the people. That's why it's so important we follow the example. He's proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and also bringing healing. Sometimes the people come to the kingdom or to the understanding of the good news. They are coming to Mashiach because of need. And that's why YaHuWaH is setting the example of what we need to do. And having seen the crowds, he was moved with compassion for them, because they were weary and scattered, as sheep having no shepherd. And it's so connected to the other passage we were reading. And then he said to his 12 ones, the harvest truly is great, but the workers are few. Pray then that the master of the harvest would send out workers to his harvest. So he has always seen people and crowds as a field. And he's waiting for the harvest, and he's waiting, and he's instructing us to pray for workers to come for the harvest of the grain. So let's go to the book of Mark. And this is also a parable of Mashiach, when he's saying in the chapter 4, verse 26, the following. And he said, the reign of Elohim, the kingdom of Elohim, is as when a man scatters seed on the ground, then sleeps by night and rises by day, while the seed sprouts and grows. He himself does not know how. And it's so beautiful when we see nature working, creation working. And it's exactly as it is described here. Sometimes from one day to the other, everything just pop up. For the soil yields crops by itself. First the blade, then the head. After that, the completed grain in the head. And when the crop is ready, immediately, and this is important, prophetically speaking, when the crop is ready for the harvest, immediately he puts in the sickle, because the harvest has come. So those are key words. We see that Reshith Katzir is the beginning of the harvest, and it was in the moment that they need to put the sickle in the crop. to begin the harvest. And here we see the connection with the parable of Mashiach, saying when the crop is ready, immediately, without delay. And now we know why.
Yeah.
Why? Maybe you can explain.
Because you can have some rain that is going to spoil all your harvest. You're not going to even gather none because it's going to ruin the grain. And also because maybe if it's not the rain, it could be also some animals that are going to pass through, and I don't know, fire is more, if you have a very hot weather, you can have some fire and you're going to lose
the entire
production. So I think that as soon as you can have them is the moment that you need to take them out. So,
and you know what's interesting is that now in our modern lives, and we have the blessing to have a feel and to participate in this process, and by talking to our neighbors that has been doing this job for always. He's always saying that people doesn't want to work in the fields now.
Yeah.
And to get additional hands to work in order to harvest and to put all the grains in, I always forget this word, in sacos.
Yeah, the wheat bags. I don't know.
Yeah,
I remember. I know that
yeah.
Karen told us the last year, but I don't. Karen or Karen.
They don't want to work, and actually everything is now doing with the big machines that are doing everything automatically. But in the old good days, they needed a lot of people, especially depending on the size of the field. But they needed a lot of people in order to harvest manually. If you didn't have enough workers, exactly as Mashiach said, they were unable to finish the job on time. And the point is that, as you said, they needed to work fast immediately in order to harvest and to store the grain in order to continue with the other fields.
Yeah.
So, when we think in the words of Mashiach, it's so beautiful, because this is exactly what is in his heart. He's just waiting for the time that the crops are ripe, are ready to be harvested. And I do believe the time is
now.
It could be this year, it could be next one, it could be just a couple of more years. We don't know, but we know that we are in that season. There's no doubt. There's so many things that has been happening in the last 10 years. So many things that have been speeding up. People coming to the knowledge of the whole truth from the entire book, the entire scriptures. People that are getting closer to the love of YaHuWaH, even maybe without having the entire understanding, but they are getting closer to him. Knowing that the world is going in the opposite direction, and they have been feeling, that need in their heart to get closer to YaHuWaH, and in his compassion, he's guiding them even to Christianity, because it's much better for them to be there than to be in the world. That's why we need to act with the same compassion. And also in the opposite side, we see the world going into darkness and even more darkness, wars, rumors of wars, pestilence, signs in the heavens, and so many things.
Yeah.
So it cannot be this, that we have any doubt in our hearts that we are living in those times, that the harvest is coming. And if it's not going to begin now, maybe next year. And we need to be so attentive in the same way that Paul was speaking about and talking about in the book of Thessalonians, that we are not in darkness, we are children of light. We know the seasons. We know when things will happen. Maybe we don't know exactly the time and the date and the year, but we know when things will happen. And that's why, in this season, like today, when we know that it's beginning the harvest, and we can have, 1 week off because we don't have all the truth of the calendar yet, but we know that this is the season that the harvest will begin. And that's why we need to have our eyes so open and to get closer to YaHuWaH in our Ruach, with His Ruach, in order to be ready for that time. And we know who's going to be the workers, and we are going to see it in a minute as well, just to remind ourselves. So let me put the scripture again here. Let's go back to another passage. And this is, let's take a look in the word sickle. And we are going to see interesting things here. Okay? And the most important prophecy of the sickle, we see it in the book of Revelation, in the chapter 14. And it says the following, in the verse 14. And I looked and saw a white cloud, and sitting on the cloud was one like the son of Adam, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a
Sharp sickle.
sharp sickle. So what he's going to do with the sickle?
He's going to harvest.
It's exactly what is written in the next passage. And it says, and another messenger came out of the dwelling place in the Shemaim in the heavens, crying with a loud voice to the one sitting on the cloud. So who is the one sitting on the cloud? One like the son of Adam, having on his head a golden crown.
YaHuWaH.
Is YaHuWaH, is the Messiah, is the Mashiach. You know, coming in a white cloud. What is he doing? It is prophesied that he will come back in the same way that he went up.
Yeah.
And he went up in a white cloud. So this description is that he's coming back to take over the world, to establish the kingdom finally. And he's coming with a sickle. So this messenger that is coming from the dwelling place on the Shemaim is serving in the Shemaim like a priest, because this is exactly as it is written in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and we can see even in the book of Revelation, messengers, malachim, angels, are serving as priests in the Shemaim. So this priest, angel, messenger, malachim, is coming crying with a loud voice to the one sitting on the cloud, to Mashiach, saying, send your sickle and reap, because the hour has come for you to reap, because the harvest of the earth is ripe. So a priest in the Shemaim is telling to the high priest, who is YaHuWaH, send your sickle.
Because the harvest is ready.
Everything is ready. You have to begin the harvest, because everything is reaped. The harvest of the earth is ripe. Begin the harvest. When that's going to happen? It is written in Torah that the sickle is put in the crops in a day like this, like Reshith Katzir, is the beginning of the harvest. We need to be prepared. We need to be so prepared that at any time that the harvest will begin. We know that we need to see more things happening. We know, and I would like to be wrong, that I really hope that this is the year. I don't think so it's going to be this year, because more things needs to happen. But we need to be so prepared, but because we know that we are getting closer to that season when that messenger, as we are seeing here, is going to cry out, and the first thing we will see, is going to be the white cloud on the sky, and maybe that's going to be fantastic. Not only when we see the white cloud, maybe to hear that crying out saying, send the sickle. And we need to be so ready. If it's this year, and I don't think so, and I can be wrong, but I hope this year, we need to be ready. If it's next year, we need to be ready. We need to be ready at all time because we don't know the time and the hour and the day when the master of the house is coming back. So we need to be ready at all times. And the verse 16 it says, and the one sitting on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. The earth was reaped. And it says, it continues, and another messenger came out of the dwelling place which is in the heaven, and he too held a sharp sickle. So another one that will continue harvesting. And another messenger came out from the slaughter place having authority over the fire, and he cried with a loud cry to him having the sharp sickle, saying, send your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, because her grapes are ripe. And the messenger thrust his sickle into the earth and gathered the vine of the earth and threw it into the great winepress of the wrath of Elohim. So two harvests.
One of the grain.
One is from Mashiach of the grain, and the one of the cluster of the vine that somehow is connected to the wrath of Elohim. So, and that could be connected to another feast, Haktirosh, the feast of the new wine. So, do you have any doubt that this is the season that we should expect that these type of things are going to happen in a season like this? What do you think?
Maybe that's the anxiety that is around a lot of people, is because they could be afraid of some kind of sickle that is going to come, but it's because they just see that, okay, I'm going to be cut, but not the purpose, the later purpose. What is the purpose of that grain? For what is being used then? So, to make bread. One of the basic food that is always speak of in the scripture. Always. When Mashiach and when all the scripture is talking about the food, the basics are the bread and the water. Then something else with the wine, but you can live with bread and water. Yeah, that's it.
Good. So let me put another passage here related to the sickle, and I think this is so powerful somehow because everything is so connected. So let's go to the book of Joel first, chapter 3, verse 11. Okay? And it says the following: hasten and come, all you nations, and gather together all around. O YaHuWaH, let your mighty men come down here. Let the nations be aroused and come up to the valley of Yehoshaphat. For there I shall sit to judge all the nations on every side. Put in the sickle, for the harvest has grown ripe. Come, go down, for the winepress is filled, the vats overflow, for their evil is great. Crowds in the valley of decision, for the day of YaHuWaH is near in the valley of decision. Sun and moon shall become dark, and stars shall withdraw their brightness. And YaHuWaH shall roar from Zion, and give forth his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and earth shall shake, but YaHuWaH shall be the refuge, a refuge for his people, and a stronghold for the children of Israel. You see the sickle once again connected to the end times, connected to judgment, connected to protection. Because we see here that YaHuWaH will be a refuge to his people and a stronghold for the children of Israel, but also connected to the valley of decision, because it is written, their evil is great. And we see how evil has increased in the world lately. No? Don't be anxious because he said that the sun and the moon shall become dark because of what's going to happen tomorrow. there are so many things that needs to happen first. I don't want to diminish the importance of the sign of tomorrow. I think all signs are so important. And we don't know if something is going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll know. But I do believe that there are so many things, important things in the prophetic timeline that needs to happen before the harvest will begin. That we need to pray and we need to continue seeking YaHuWaH's face in prayers to understand the timings and to be prepared for anything that's coming to the world this year. I want to repeat myself, and I have been telling you this in many times. I do believe that this year we'll see things heating up, and we'll see fulfillments of prophecies, and we will see the completion of some of the steps in the prophetic timeline. I have no doubt in my heart, and again, I can be totally wrong. But I think just looking into the whole status of the world, and also just paying even sometimes tiny attention to what we're feeling here, the Ruach
is like
is telling, we are feeling it. We are in that time. So I do believe, and that's why we need to be prepared for what's going to happen. Not to be in fear, but we know that we are, and most probably that's the significance of the sign tomorrow, is marking a new season is beginning. A new seasons of maybe where the labor pains are increasing in frequency
and also
and are more painful in intensity. So that's why we need to be so ready for that. And let me show you something else here. And I think somehow this last passage is connecting everything with what we have been saying just now. And this is in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50. And I will suggest you to read it completely, because Jeremiah chapter 50 is talking about, in the verse 1, if you can see it here, the word that YaHuWaH spoke concerning Babylon. And this is so prophetic because somehow it's connected to Mystery Babylon, but not only to Mystery Babylon. It's connected as well to the daughter of Babylon. Those are totally two different women. One is the mother and the other one is the daughter. So if we go down a little bit, so we're going to just read from verse 11.
We're going to read.
You want to read?
No. I was just...
You want to read?
No.
Okay. So it says in the verse 11, because you were glad, because you rejoiced, you who plundered my inheritance, because you have grown fat like a heifer threshing grain, and you neighed like stallion. Your mother shall be greatly ashamed. She who bore you shall be humiliated. So the relation between a mother and a daughter. Look, the last of the nations, a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. Because of the wrath of YaHuWaH, she shall not be inhabited, but she shall be deserted. All of it, everyone passing by Babel, shall be astonished and whistle at all her plagues. Set yourselves in array against Babel all around. All you who bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she has sinned against YaHuWaH. Shout against her all around. She has given her hand, her foundations have fallen, her walls are thrown down, for it is the vengeance of YaHuWaH. Take vengeance on her. As she has done, so do to her. Cut off, and this is the important connection with the sickle and this time of the year. Cut off the sower from Babel, and him who handles the sickle at harvest time. From before the sword of the oppressor, each one turns to his own people, and each one flees to his own land. So what I see here, and again, this is just my interpretation, and I can be wrong, that's why you need to study for yourself the scriptures, that somehow the only fact that the sickle is mentioned in the prophecy against Babylon, that somehow it could be connected to this season of time. It could be connected to the harvest season, when some of the plagues against Babylon are going to be shown. You know, final words from my side, and I know that you want to share something, is that, and I will invite you, in case you have not done it, or if you did it in the past, I will invite you to take a look again in those 2 videos that I have here in the channel for the Reshith Katzir feast. Because there is such a beautiful picture about Israel crossing the Red Sea during the night between, actually it was, if we follow the calendar, last night. And they just crossed to the other border of the sea before the breaking of the day in Reshith Katzir this morning. So, and there are so many passages in the scriptures that, you know, they were baptized. It was written in the New Testament, in the Brit Hadashah, in the Red Sea with Moshe. And it's doing a parallel to, you know, our situation with Mashiach. They somehow presented themselves by crossing the Red Sea in a kind of baptism in the first day of Reshith Katzir, like the beginning of the harvest of YaHuWaH, and then they presented themselves in Shavuot in the Sinai as part of Shavuot, as part of the first fruits. And I think this is a beautiful picture in the same way, you know, that YaHuWaH is going to do it with us. He is going to harvest the earth that we just read in the book of Revelation. And we are doing everything in our hands, in our lives, and we need to continue doing and enduring until the end to be part of the harvest, in order to be the beginning of the harvest, and also in the same way that the first of that generation of Israel presented themselves in Shavuot, so we can present ourselves as well as the Bikurim, the first fruits. You were going to share something as well in the book of John, right?
Yeah, it was in John in chapter 6. And if you can I'm just going to read one verse. Is the 12. Could it be?
Yes, let me put this here first. Tell me, which one? John?
Yeah, 6:12.
6:12. There you have.
Yeah, and it's related with the miracle that Yahushua did with the bread and the fish. But it's what he's saying. And in the 12 it says, "And when they were filled, he said to his taught ones, gather the broken pieces that are left over, so that none get wasted. So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with broken pieces of 5 barley loaves, which were left over by those who had eaten." And then I'm going to jump to later, because it was some discussion from Yahushua with some people. And I'm going to jump to this discussion where it's in the 32. Yeah. And it says, "Therefore Yahushua said to them, Truly, truly, I said to you, Moshe did not give you the bread out of the heaven, but my Father give you the true bread out of the heaven. For the bread of Elohim is he who comes down out of the heaven and gives life to the world. So they said to him, Master, give us this bread always. And Yahushua said to them, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall not get hungry at all, and hungry at all. And he who believes in me shall not get thirsty at all." What I was trying to explain to you before is that he is this true bread that the Father gave us, and he always teaches that we should follow his example.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm thinking about that miracle when he was held with the disciples, and 12 baskets were were after that everybody was already fed. So I was thinking that it was even like a kind of, maybe, I don't know if this is right or not, but it's a kind of like a relation that maybe it was telling them somehow, you were helping me to share this bread with some other people. And even there, each one of you have a complete basket with the piece that were left. So we are going to have more than abundance. So we are going to have more than we need. And when he asks us to be and follow like him and follow his example, I'm thinking about when people maybe approach to us, if they are feeling that after having maybe a conversation, if we are being true witnesses of YaHuWaH, of YaHuWaH, what he did for us, how he opened this door, if when they are leaving that conversation, or maybe some minutes or anything, if they are going to feel that they are being satisfied. Because what people is now living in this time is that they are really living a famine phase. But a lot of people, they don't even know that they are living in that famine phase. So
That they have the hunger.
Yeah.
They can identify. Maybe they feel something but they
something
don't
is
know how to
missing, but
satisfy
they
it.
don't know how. So the idea is that we can be those servants who are going to help him, like the disciples, and that we have to know that this is, if it's something that it's already satisfy our hunger, how it's going to be with the rest of the people. And that was the
It's a beautiful picture, you
and
know.
the
It's so,
relationship with the wheat and the bread, and that
And-
why is the basic food.
and so connected to what I said at the very beginning, that we need to take the opportunity of situations like what we are going through, we are living, the times that we are living, that people are getting so anxious, so desperate, so fearful,
And they
to
don't
shine the
know.
light, and they don't know exactly. So it's the same thing, shining the light or sharing the bread.
They don't know the root of their hunger. And yeah, that's
Good.
it.
So I think this is what I had to share with you. I would just want to spend a few minutes to take a look in the chat if you have any comment or questions that you want us to pay attention. Just go ahead, put a comment in the chat. We're just taking a look now, okay? So it's so beautiful to have the blessing to share this hour, the feelings, what the Ruach is putting in our hearts with you, that I think the bottom line, the main message, what I'm feeling within me is that we need to be prepared. Even though that we don't know the time and the day, we need to be prepared. We need to be prepared because we know things will begin to happen. Okay? Not to be in fear, not to be anxious, yes, to be in solid ground, being those servants, as you said, sharing the bread, sharing the knowledge, sharing, you know, sustaining. And we know who is sustaining us all is YaHuWaH, but we need to work as vessels in order to help those in need, not only physical, but most importantly in this time, spiritually. So Shannon is saying that she and her family are not watching the clips. Her heart says, read tomorrow and pray, so that's my plan. I think it's a beautiful plan.
Yeah.
And Camila, and be ready to be made to lie down in green pastures, if that's what Abba wills for any of us. That's true. We need to be prepared for everything.
Yeah. And sometimes we can see that even some can be taken before, because maybe they are going to be the samples. Maybe some of them are going to be ripe before than the rest. So everybody has different time. But only YaHuWaH is the one who knows what is the perfect time for every one of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so once again, thank you so much for
Yeah.
joining us in this 1 hour
Wow, it was going to be like half an hour.
live stream. And let's keep praying. Let's keep praying in these times. Let's keep studying the word, and let's keep being those witnesses. Let's not hide ourselves. We need to speak up. This is the time to speak up. The time of hiding is coming, and we need to hide ourselves. But we need to speak up in these times, because when we speak, it's like giving breath.
Yeah.
When we speak, people will hear, and the Ruach will do the rest. So if you have the chance to speak to somebody, do it, because this is what the world need. They need to hear the words of YaHuWaH. And that's the part that belongs to us, is to speak up. The Ruach will do the rest. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. We love you all, and we are praying for you all. And
I just saw
Jimmy and Marisa.
yeah, and they said we're fasting tomorrow, and it's time in prayer. Well, we fast, and we're going to do it.
Actually, we usually fast on Monday, and we are going to fast tomorrow. So if anybody else wants to join Jimmy and Maria Isabel and also us
on prayer
and fasting, you are going to be more than welcome, because you know it is written, when 2 or 3 are in one mind with one purpose, things will happen, because YaHuWaH, with his presence and his Ruach, is in the midst of all of them. So I think it's a beautiful plan, Jimmy and Maria Isabel. And we didn't plan anything between us, but we were going to fast anyway. So and Shannon is fasting too.
Yeah.
So excellent. So thank you so much. As I said, YaHuWaH be with you all, and see you in the next video.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon.
Abba will.
We love you all. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
כל החושך ששורר לא יצליח להסתיר אורך. כל הרוע ששולט לא יטביע את הטוב שלך. תקבל נחלתך, הדור הזה לא ייגנב ממך. מושרשים באהבה ולא מרפים